All right.
Hey, welcome everybody to the Marketing Checklist Viewcast. We're Sharon and Hank Yuloff from Yuloff Creative Marketing Solutions. When you're looking to solve your marketing, sales, HR challenges, we are the small business coaches that you call.
On this Viewcast, you will meet and learn from successful entrepreneurs who are out there making it happen right now.
Yep, here's how it works. We have pre-sent the questions to our guest, just like we do with every episode. And we're just going to basically go through it. We have their answers here, but we might take the conversation off in a different direction. So here's the kicker. The interview will be just 7 minutes, 21 seconds. And that's because
that's our wedding anniversary.
It is. So why don't we get started? Would you introduce Paul, our guest?
I will. Our guest today is Paul Schumann, and you can best connect with him at his LinkedIn profile. Paul Schumann, it'll be in the show notes. It'll be really easy for you to click.
All you have to do is click the link on the video too. It'll be right there.
You won't have to guess the spelling of
Not
his name.
at all, because the spelling will be right in the link that's there. That's how it usually works.
That is how it's
We don't have one typo on our entire Viewcast page.
Good job.
In fact, if you're watching, go ahead, search the entire page. You will not find one typographical error.
We dare you.
Yeah, I dare you. Go through the entire, go through every episode too. I dare you. Report back to us.
Are you ready?
Yeah, I'm ready.
Okay.
Go for it.
All right, Paul, keeping in mind that we only have a 3-story building, what is your elevator story?
Well, my elevator story is pretty simple. I help businesses or individuals resolve their debt issues by either going and settling, restructuring, bringing in new money, reorganizing. And in businesses, I also help them unscramble their internal communications, which DTM and Toastmasters, and I've worked with hundreds of different companies, finding that internal communication is part of the issues why they have been losing money.
Interesting. All right. So why should our listeners flock to you?
Why would they flock to me? Because, well, I've got a great track record of resolving issues. As a matter of fact, in settlements, I've got about a 98.5% track record. And those that didn't went bankrupt because they couldn't solve it, even though I settled them. But it's really amazing because of my ability to look at a business in different ways. I've been looking at businesses in real estate for 40 years and a mortgage lender for 10 years and securities and real estate and licensing. I sort of understand what to look for and what they're not seeing.
Excellent.
All right. Do you have one example of what you look for?
Well, it depends upon the type of business I'm going into, but really what I'm looking for is I'll ask them for some basic financials, and I'm going to look for whether or not the sales are keeping up with the marketing, or, are the costs too high? Are they buying from the wrong suppliers? I mean, what's going on within the company that has caused this? Or was it a one-time crash like the pandemic that all of a sudden people didn't show up? What caused the downturn? And was it a quick downturn, or was it a long-term progression of just losing money?
Okay.
And then I can go from there.
All right. So on that theme, what tips could you give to our listeners?
Well, I would say for most businesses that I run into, the biggest thing that I find when they get into their trade payable problems is lack of communication. I would say that almost 90% of the problems I've had in settlement is when I call a creditor, I hear all this foul language coming back at me because the people either lied to them, didn't put the check in the mail, didn't say things right, or just dropped off and they haven't heard from them in 6 months. And if there's anything I could ever tell people in business is keep in constant communication with your trade payables. They are your biggest creditor suppliers. They're no different than the bank. They're lending you money by giving you product before you have to pay for it. So be aware, the more you are tied in with them, the more they understand your business. When you get into trouble, the more they're there to support you and not harm you. Create the relationships, number one.
Excellent. Love that. What's an amusing job title for you, Paul?
I'm sorry, did they say that?
What's an amusing job title for yourself?
Job title. Boy, the debt crusher.
Debt crusher. I like that. That's a good one.
I literally do. My last client had $178,000 in credit card debt. It was already in the hands of an attorney creating a lawsuit. By the time I was done, the attorney settled at 30 cents on the dollar, and my client, even after paying me, saved $100,000 because I understand how attorneys think, and I can even settle lawsuits. I don't have to be an attorney to settle a lawsuit because all I'm doing is talking to them and negotiating with them. I don't make the final rules and I don't sign the deals.
So you're not recommending that Sharon and I run up all sorts of debt and then call you? No, that's not what you're saying at all, right?
No. Matter of fact, just the opposite. You want to keep your debt down low, especially when it comes to your credit scores, because the debt to credit ratio is a very, very big important. That's almost 30% of your score.
So all y'all are watching, do not do that thing that I thought of and then pull Paul out of your pocket. That's not the way it works.
Not good business practice.
No.
All right, Paul, what are the most common questions that people ask you about your business?
I'd say the most common questions is it's kind of a different way, because some of the businesses want to understand how to get business credit going. Individuals want to know, their credit scores and what they need to do. Those are common questions. And the first thing I tell them is pull your credit report and only go to annualcreditreport.com. It's a federal government site. They're totally free for all 3 reports, and you'll get the complete report, including all the inquiries. Anything that's there, you'll get a copy of. You will not get that from Credit Sesame or Credit Karma or any of the other sites. Only that one, or requesting it direct from the credit reporting company themselves, like Experian or TransUnion.
So that was annualcreditreport.com?
Yes, it's a federal government site.
I wrote that down because I want to make sure I get that into the show notes.
Yeah, and what you'll find is when you're pulling that, what I want people to do is, they can scan whether or not there's derogatories or stuff in their credit, but I want them to look at their personal information. People go, what's the difference if my name is spelled wrong or a social security has a couple different numbers and they see different things? Because down the road, if somebody happens to have that number, or they're living in an old address that you've lived in, create problems, and they can't get the name right, they'll look at the address and could potentially put it on your credit report. I know it happened to me. Somebody with the same name as me lost a car in repossession. They put it on my credit report. Had it not been for me giving them my total social and my middle name, it came off. But if you do not check your credit reports, you will never know. Anything that has to do with phone numbers, old addresses, wrong names, wrong social security numbers, anything to do with personal, if it's not current, get it removed. Just write them a letter saying, this is not me anymore. Remove it.
Awesome. What's the most unexpected thing that you've ever encountered in your business?
Unexpected.
Yeah, in your notes, it had to do with Comerica Bank.
I'd say unexpected was the longest, most complicated settlement I've ever done, where I represented individually an aerospace company battling Comerica Bank for a $1.6 million loan that they had a UCC1 filing against them. It took me a year and a half. I kept the company going, and then I negotiated the deal down from 1.6 million to 400,000 over 10 years, no interest and no personal guarantees.
Wow.
But here was the kicker. And I almost got their attorney firm fired. The senior VP, when I told them that the attorneys had changed the deal, right there in our face-to-face meeting, turned to them and said, "You did what?" And I'll tell you, he was pissed, and he said, "If you don't fix it, you're fired." This is one of the top attorney firms in San Diego County. But what was interesting is how I settled it with the senior VP. Because right to the end, at the very end, he says, no, I'm just going to close the company down and take it. I have never done this before, but I picked up the phone and I screamed the loudest I have ever screamed on a telephone to the senior VP and told him he couldn't do it.
Oh.
And then there was silence. He came back and said, I got it. I'll rewrite it.
Wow.
I had never expected that. I thought when I screamed, he'd go, okay, that's the end of it. We're closing it down. But he didn't, because he understood the emotion that I was protecting these people. And it wasn't about making money or anything. It was about keeping the doors open, keeping the employees employed, and not destroying things. It's leaving a legacy.
What is your favorite tool that you use to get your job done?
I'm sorry, what is my favorite?
Your favorite tool?
Tool.
Actually,
I would
it
say
sounded to me like negotiation.
it is. It's 100% negotiation. Everything that you do is negotiation. From the time you're 3 years old and you want something and you're crying, to the time you're a teenager and you say, Dad, can I have the car? Well, did you do your homework? Did you do this? Negotiate. I'll do this. When you get the car, say, well, how about a few bucks so I can buy some food, okay, or get some gas? Everything is negotiating. There are trade-offs, there are withdrawal offers, red herrings, flinches, asking for more, negotiating. Everything depends upon one thing: who you're negotiating against and what it's for.
Mm-hmm.
If you're buying a car and you're negotiating with a car dealership, just know that they're going to try and throw you all sorts of stuff in there that you never agreed to. They did to me when I bought my new car. I negotiated a price and a payment plan. And when you walk into there and you're talking to that finance manager, they say, oh, well, that'll be, and they added an extra $100 and some odd to my payment. I said, well, what's that for? He says, well, you've got to have paint coverage and you've got to have this coverage and this coverage. And I said, no, I don't. That's where all your profit is. And that's where all my losses are. I made him go back to the original deal.
Oh, absolutely.
Be aware, anytime you negotiate, listen very carefully to what they're adding or changing to what you agreed to.
Yep. What did you learn in nursery school that best helps you today?
Well, I have a problem with that. I never went to nursery school.
All right, tell you, for you, what did you learn when you were a kid that helps you now?
I had some serious issues when I was a kid with different things at 5 years old, not knowing any better. But what I've learned is be very careful to learn the rules of the game before you play the game.
Yeah.
And I was a Cub Scout and I did something I did not know was wrong. Nobody ever told me it was wrong. I just did one little thing and they kicked me out. My dad was furious, but they never asked me why I did it or if I could ever fix the problem. So I learned over the years very carefully, learn the rules of the game.
Makes a lot of sense.
And ask the right person for the rules. Not everybody knows the rules the same way.
Do you have a fantasy lead? Who would be watching the podcast, or who would they know that would be the perfect person you'd like to meet from this?
Well, I'll tell you, the people I would like to meet are business owners, anywhere from 2 employees to 50 employees, whatever. I mean, I've had bigger ones that are dragging along old debt from a year ago, something they didn't pay, they're getting constant problem issues, but they have a cash flow. Because if I try and settle the debt and there's no money, it doesn't work. So there has to be some accessible cash, some sort of assets that if I sit down with a creditor and say, I'll pay you 40 cents on the dollar, that there better be 40 cents on the dollar plus the money to pay me to do it, or it doesn't work. Yep. So it's a company that is still functioning, still rolling, that has assets, or they could have already closed their doors. They're out of business. Because what people don't understand, just because a business closes doesn't mean that the bills go away.
Yep.
You know, it may have been, you may have personally signed for some of these, because smaller companies, typically they're going to go after personal guarantees. So the company is gone, but you're not.
Yep.
And I like to protect those people and get them out of the problems, because this pandemic has literally crushed the restaurant industry and has crushed a lot of hotels and motels and airlines. And those people are in trouble. They need help. Now, the bigger airlines, yeah, they got teams of attorneys. The giant hotel chains, they got teams of attorneys, but not the little guys. I'm there for the little guys. And I absolutely guarantee my work, because if I don't save them money, they will never see a bill from me. No consultation fees, no admin fees, no setup fees, nothing. If I don't work,
no
I don't
paint
pay.
coverage fees.
That's right.
So what would you like to give our listeners so that they can begin that conversation with you?
I'm sorry, say that again.
What would you like to give our listeners so they can begin that conversation with you? Do you have your book, perhaps?
Well, I would say to start the conversation with me, all I have to do is pick up the phone and call me, set up a calendar appointment, go to my LinkedIn site, anywhere to communicate with me, either emails, anyway, and just say, I have a problem. Can you help me? A financial problem. And then list what it is. Give me an idea. Is it a bank problem? Is it a credit card problem? Is it an auto problem? What problem is it? So I can at least get up to speed so that I can pick up the phone going, okay, I kind of get where you're coming from. Give me the details now. So my mind is in that direction.
Now, I'm going to add this in. You also have a book called Secrets, Myths, and Realities of Achieving Financial Independence. Will you send them that too?
If they send me an email, I'll send them a copy of it. I wrote that almost 19 years ago,
Yeah.
but through the years, I've updated it. And I think I updated just about a year or so ago. But the information, it never changes. What's interesting is, and people ask me, what kind of businesses can you work with? I says, any business. He says, well, aren't they all different? I says, what's interesting is all businesses are identical when it comes to what you need to do with them. They all have management, HR, employees, they all have cash flow, they all have income, they all have debts, they all have the same thing. They just have a different widget.
Yeah.
Some are selling lumber, some are selling, skateboards. It doesn't matter. The internal structure of a business is virtually the same. And if you understand how businesses work internally, I've gone over 200 different businesses, and pretty much they're all in different venues. And it didn't matter what I walked in. I asked them a few questions and I was right up to speed, because it didn't matter. What's your debt problem? What's your cash flow? How did this get created? Once I understand just a few questions, I can understand how to dig deeper into the company and determine how to get out of it. One of my best deals I had was a San Diego company. It was a call center. And God, this is about 15, 20 years ago. And I came in there, they had a whole bunch of debt. I settled the debt. But then I went around like I normally do, and I asked all the managers of the different departments what was going on. Then I came back to the owner and I said, Bill, you have a problem. He says, it's not just a monetary problem. You have an internal communication problem. Did you know your managers don't know what each other is doing right now? He goes, what? I said, when was the last time you had a full-on company meeting?
And I bet that hadn't been a while. So great job, Paul.
Years. But I'll tell you, after that meeting, and when he got him on track, he called me 14 years later. He said that day changed the company's life. I went from 14 employees to 400 employees because of what you did when you walked in that door.
Wow.
And that's what I love doing for companies.
Excellent. All right, well done. So go connect with Paul on his LinkedIn profile. As I said, that will be in the show notes, and make sure you connect with us at howtogettherefaster.com.
Yep, you can sign up for your free 30-minute success call. Most businesses will report back to us that was worth a whole lot of time and money to them. So that's howtogettherefaster.com.
And if you too would like to be on the Viewcast, make sure that you let us know when you connect with us at howtogettherefaster.com.
Thanks for watching, everybody. We'll see you next time on the Marketing Checklist Viewcast.
Thanks.